as a busy professional, you get bombarded with content online of people richer than you who are telling you that the only way for you to get like them and to make more money is to start a business and to promote and scale that business. And the problem is they're right. It's not the only way, but it's the way that most wealth is made in America is through business ownership, whether that's directly or indirectly. But the problem is you are a busy professional. And so where do you get the time to build the next thing while being full-time? So that's what this video is here to help you with, coming from one busy professional to the next. This is exactly what I had to do when I was building my company, and I was able to quit my full-time job while being a new dad, while dealing with major deaths in my family, my mom passing away. So like I have pretty much like figured this out. And while it's not easy, there is a process for it. And there are some things that make it a whole lot easier. So a little bit about myself. When I was working a full-time job, I worked as a senior account manager at an advertising agency. I've been working in advertising for many years, and that's where my core competency is. And so I've tried to start many businesses in that time period and before then. That just didn't work out. But then when I went to start my publishing company, that took off because I just had a much better offer. So more people were saying yes, and I was making a lot more money in the process of it. So that helped, because my goal was always, and this may not be your goal, I'll go over a couple of different goals, but like I want to leave my full-time job and just be full-time in business. So my business needs to make enough to run itself, have a growth budget, and pay me a full-time income, like a basic full-time income all at the same time. And so that was always my goal. And it took me about a year, I'll say probably like maybe a year to 14 months to really be able to exit the job after starting my company, which is a very short time frame for most people starting a company. In that year, I was just recently engaged. Around the same time, we were pregnant with our first child, my beautiful daughter, and she was born in that time. So we became parents for the first time in that year while working full time, both me and her mother. And we both work from home. And so we decided to save the money on daycare. So we were looking after our newborn, dealing with like all of the emotional stuff that comes with childbirth and becoming a parent, and also still trying to build this company and trying to find the time for everything. Regardless of all the stuff that I'm going to say here to help you, that was still super hard and it was very taxing. But again, I was able to accelerate the time frame by doing these things. And I would say like the number one thing is being able to partner with people. See, if I were to do everything on my own, then I wouldn't have had the time to make the business successful. My clients would have been upset, they would have been underserved, and we would have made significantly less money. So I'm competent at writing copy, and I'm competent at managing and scaling ads, and I'm competent at sales. But those are three heavy departments, especially when for the publishing company, like copy is always happening. So you can imagine maybe one client, you can do all the copy, but then when you add 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people all at the same time that you're trying to write copy for, that becomes a full-time job all on its own. And we haven't even talked about sales, and we haven't talked about offer optimization. We haven't talked about product development. We haven't talked about ad management for all these people and our company. Like there's so much that's happening. And so what I did was, for majority of our copy, quite frankly, there's nothing special there, not even like partnering with somebody, just paid somebody else to do the copy. And with the advent of ChatGPT, reviewing that copy was super quick, super easy to give my benchmarks for what I think is good copy, review the copy against that, and deliver the feedback to the copywriter. So that was great. But the number one person who helped me accelerate this time frame was my business partner. And that's because he was able to take over the media buying, and he was another person that could be responsible for the growth of the business and pushing things forward. So the business didn't stop where I stopped. So on days where I was too burnt out to do anything, where I was too sleep deprived to think clearly and to properly do quality assurance and all of these things that come with the real life experience of being a human being, I could rely on my business partner, and vice versa. So as he's building things up in his life, because he has other business deals and opportunities working in the background, he was able to rely on me for things that he just didn't have the time for. And so we were able to accelerate the business to the point of where like it needed to be at a higher pace than we would have been able to alone. And so when you ask yourself, like, I'm working full time, I have all these responsibilities, and I don't have that much energy at the end of the day, or I don't have that much energy before work, and I can really only commit a few hours to this per day. It's like, well, you have to think about, can the income that you want exist with only those few hours of work a day? I think when you're coming from zero, no, it can't unless you get lucky. But like why get lucky when you can engineer an outcome? You know, you can create the outcome. So why leave it to chance? People are obsessed with like the 4-hour work week or the 4-hour, whatever it's called. I never read the book, but like people are obsessed with it. And I get it, because even though I haven't read the book, I've lived that way before, where like I only worked like 5 to 10 hours a week. And like I made enough income to cover my bills and life felt good. So I get the desire for that. But when you start increasing your goals, it's like, can I make each of these 7 people at least $500,000 a year? And while continuing to grow my company off of 2 to 3 hours of work a day? Nah, player. It don't work like that. The math doesn't work like that. And so you need more hours in the business. It's just that the hours don't need to come from you, right? And so this is where partnering becomes very valuable, because people always think that when you work with people that you have to pay them, and you do, but you don't have to give them cash up front. Everything isn't salary this, salary that, project this, freelance that, right? You can partner with people. And so that's how it worked with me. Like I said, hey, these are the things that I need help with. I'll give you 50%. And it doesn't need to be that for everything. That's probably too high for everything, but this is also my best friend that we're talking about. And he's one of the most skilled people that I know in this space. So having him on my team is like the most valuable part of my business, in my opinion. And I was working full time. So it's like, I really can't handle that much, but I need these outcomes to happen. Like really think about what you need. Like for example, I need talent acquisition, and I do that through my funnels. I do that through content, but also it'll be fantastic if I had someone who either had an existing network or was fully dedicated to acquiring new talent for us to publish. And that's what I'm looking for right now. But I'm not going out there getting ready to give away all of my cash reserves to go take a chance on somebody, and on an A player at that. I probably have like 6 months of cash reserves that I'd be willing to if I went down that route. But upon reflection, it's like, why would I? If they're bringing me the lifeblood of my business, then this person is a key player. This role is a key role. And so I just need somebody to buy into what we're doing. We have the historical data to prove. And even if we didn't, I just need someone to buy into what we're doing and do this for an ownership stake. So I reward them with the upside, and I take less in exchange for moving faster. Does that make sense? And I'll give you one more tip on this. You don't actually have to give equity. Like in none of these examples have I actually given over equity of my business. I just did a profit sharing model. So I can bring someone on as like head of talent acquisition, right? And they can come on and I can do like a percentage profit share with them. Maybe it's 3% or 5% or 10% or whatever. And we can structure a deal. Let me tell you guys something. Everything comes down to deal making. The deal doesn't have to be what your first thought is, and it doesn't have to be what you think somebody else would do. It can be anything you want. As long as you can find somebody that finds that to be a good deal that meets your requirements, then like you can make the deal. So like how I'm thinking about it is, okay, I have my head of paid traffic here. I'm willing to cover copy and continue to do copy because I found a really efficient way to write copy. And then I also have my copywriters here and here that are available for projects when I don't have the bandwidth for it, right? So what I really need at this point is talent acquisition. That's the constraint of the business. That's what I need to continue pushing the business forward. I need to acquire talent at a faster pace. I can pull somebody in and say, hey, this is how much we typically make from our publishing deals in the span of a year. This is the percentage of that I'll give you in order for helping me pull people in. If you can help me pull in this many people per year, this is what your earning potential is. And so yes, they start at 0, but if this is a person who is extremely confident and has high conviction in their ability to deliver the results that I'm asking for, then it's a no-brainer deal, because otherwise they might get paid like $7,000 or $8,000 a month and get some health benefits as a salary from me. But with this model, they're able to earn tens of thousands of dollars a month or hundreds of thousands of dollars per year on just average performing talent that's acquired. And so that creates a much larger earning opportunity for someone who is fully confident that they can deliver the results that I'm asking for. And so you must think about that when you are working full time and you are trying to grow the business, is who do I need to partner with to take me to that next level? And if you can answer that question and find that person and lock them down, then boom, you just unlocked a whole lot more hours in the business, because somebody else can dedicate more hours than you can because they're not working full time on this other thing. And that's another thing that I noticed too in working with certain clients is they'll have a business partner, but they're both working full time. So they both only have a couple hours a day to put into the business, and those businesses fail. They stay tiny, they crash out. Those businesses suck. They don't service the customers the best. They don't have the profit margins enough. Like everything about them is wrong. And it's because you need somebody who can dedicate significant time in the business, even if that person isn't you yet, even if you need to just play the role of the visionary, right? For now. So that's the answer to like how you go off and build a business, a complete business, not a side hustle, while you're working full time. time and while you're busy and while you're consumed and while you're overwhelmed is don't do it alone.